Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Minachi. If you're new to my channel, I do gaming montages and gaming videos and also product reviews. And today we're going to be reviewing the Beast X mouse from WLMouse. It had a lot of controversy around it, and I just wanted to clear some things up and put my opinion about it. So let's get started on the mouse itself. So the mouse shape, let's start with that. The mouse shape is basically a copy of the ULX, the ultralight mouse that was released from Final Mouse, but with hole cutouts that are similar to the Viper Mini Signature Edition, which I know Random Frank P got a lot of backlash for that, but I do think that the cutouts look similar. It's just the shape is more reminiscent to the ULX. I use a pretty interesting grip. I use a knuckle claw grip where my knuckles touch the shell of the mouse, but my back hand doesn't. And this specific shape is a little bit too shallow for it to reach my hand, so I needed to put some grip tape with some double-sided tape underneath that to actually reach my hand. Because it's a very small mouse, and they don't offer any other size options, which is fine. I wouldn't really expect them to. As for the holes themselves, they're pretty large. They're pretty substantial. I can't go in and poke anything, but they are noticeable. However, if you use the grip tapes that are provided, you can't actually feel them on the sides or your. Also, this stops me from feeling the holes themselves, so it's not a big problem for me just because of my specific grip. But if you are going to use a claw where your backhand is pressed up against here, then you may want to just put some grip tape over this if you have some extra. Also, the position of the scroll wheel is nice relative to the clicks. It's almost flush, it's very close, which I really, really like. And as for the clicks, they are extremely light and spammable. This is because they use Japanese Omron switches for the clicks, and I believe Japanese blue dot for the side buttons, and they feel incredible. Very, very light. Very low actuation point. When you compare that to the HTX Ace, these definitely feel a bit muddier. They're not as crisp, and they definitely require a little bit more force to actuate. And I would even say that they feel better than the GPX. The GPX, or the Superlight, they do feel very, very good. They're one of my favorites. I will say that the Omrons feel slightly more crisp and less hollow. They really do feel very good. And Omron switches are actually the same that they use in the Zonkunig M2K for what it's worth, and that mouse is a $350 mouse. So moving on to the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel feels a little defined per notch, which is great, but also really smooth. It's smoother than the competition of the Jewel's HTX Ace, which comes in at 37 grams. This one is very similar in terms of height. This one is just a little bit lower, but it's much more defined. The scroll wheel itself is okay. I would really, really like it if it had some grip or rubber on it or something, because this is just straight plastic and it's quite hard to really grip it. The scroll itself, the notches are less defined than the HTX Ace, but they're slightly more defined than a G Pro Superlight. They're pretty similar though. This just feels a little bit smoother. The coating, since I was talking about those holes, the coating, I mean, it's metal, it's magnesium alloy. There's not a lot of grip on there. They do offer a pink and cyan colorway that have a skin texture. I haven't tried that one myself. I've heard some decent things, but it has included grips. I suggest you use them because they really help cover up some of these holes that lighten the weight. And speaking of lightening that weight, the mouse comes in at 39 grams, which is just mind-blowing. sub 40 gram mice hasn't, like, besides fingertip exclusive mice, has like barely been tapped into in the market. The only like actual competitor that I've ran into is the HTX Ace, which I had some issues, and I wouldn't actually suggest G-Wolf's mice. I've had some pretty poor experiences, as well as other people, but their Discord is pretty hilarious if you want to go check that out. But this comes in at 37 grams, like I said before. And I think sub 40 gram mice, or just around 40 grams, is like a really good sweet spot. It's light enough where you can get that small micro adjustment that you get and you want, while also having some weight to sort of iron out your movements. Let's talk about the build quality here. So the build quality, right? It's metal, it's magnesium alloy, although it is really thin, you know, to keep that weight down. It feels pretty sturdy, but I have felt some slight flexing in the side cutouts. Now with the grip tape on, you know, it's the load is more distributed, which is fine. Obviously, if you go into like gamer rages, I wouldn't recommend this mouse. But it is pretty solid feeling with those grips on. And it'll last longer because of the metal. So the side buttons are okay. They're pretty far forward, which I personally like for the back button. I can't actually reach the forward button. And so just for like general play, this does feel really nice. It ends up about midway through my thumb, but I'd prefer it over something like the HTX Ace, where the thumb button, where I hold the mouse, the backwards button is literally on it. So something to note. And as for the dongle, which is pretty sick, the dongle is, you know, pretty lightweight. I'd prefer it if there was some like rubber things on the bottom. And when I first got this mouse, I used to put the screen like this so I could see it. But apparently, Benjy from the WLMouse Discord ran some tests, and the latency on the mouse is horrid if you use it this way. So up is really the only genuine option. The LCD screen itself is, you know, pretty high quality, actually. I'm pretty surprised. The image is pretty clear, although it does take a while to load in pictures, and it also doesn't have like a centering option. You kind of just have to mess around with it yourself. Well, honestly, pretty good. Now let's talk about the included accessories. So the mouse does come with pre-installed dot skates. If you do get one of the newer models, it also comes with multiple skates. It comes with 2 sets of their PTFE skates and 2 sets of their glass skates. I've tried them both. Not a big fan of either, but that's because I use a Skypad and it's glass, and I can't really use glass skates, but I did try it on my Artisan Hayateatsu Mid, and the glass skates are a little bit, they're okay. They're a little bit slower than my PTFE. Something that some of you guys should also know about glass skates. There's a big misconception that glass skates are supposed to be faster than PTFE. That's not the case. That's not what they're designed for. They're designed to be at the exact same or similar speed as PTFE, but lower initial friction. So sort of like making the micro adjustments on a glass pad, but on your regular pad. So that's a little bit of information just to clear up there. But right now I'm using Jade Speed skates. I know I'm not supposed to use them on the glass pad. They feel amazing, so try to tell me any different. I've tried a bunch of different skates. I've tried all the stock ones. And actually, what's funny is between my Tiger Ice, my Jade Speeds, and Lamzu Atlantis dot skates that come with the packaging, the stock ones, the stock Lamzus are so freaking nice. I would honestly recommend them. They're really cheap too. They're like $8 for a like a pop out thing with like all the little dots. I'd highly recommend. But the Jade Speeds are quite good as well. They feel really smooth. There's not as much scraping that you'll get with some of the Tiger Ice skates I've had. So those are pretty good. The grips themselves that came with them, pretty decent. I'm pretty sure they are a specific kind of grip tape that is similar to Pulsar's super grips, but they feel pretty nice. They've worn down pretty easily, so I might try to find a way to replace these. but they still work pretty great. Just not as much grip to them. And honestly, really good for stock grips. Most mice don't even come with this. And as for the pulling rate, it does support 4,000 hertz pulling rate. Soon to be 8,000 hertz. Benjy from the WLMouse Discord, bless his soul, is working on a sort of a revamp of their software, so it'll support 8K pulling hertz. I personally wouldn't recommend it. I run it on 2,000 hertz pulling rate, simply because the battery life is way better. I can actually do a full gaming day without having to recharge it. If I run it on 4K, it runs down really, really quick. But part of having a smaller battery is reducing the weight, so there you go. It's honestly extremely impressive. Like, very, very good mouse. Would I recommend this mouse? I would recommend this mouse. It's just a really solidly built, good price for what you're getting. You're getting so much. It's $140, which is expensive. I know you can go like get a deluxe like M800 Ultra for like 50 or 60 bucks now, and it supports like all the same things this mouse does and only slightly heavier at like 55 grams. But seriously, 40 gram mice or sub 40 is just wild. So yeah, that's my review of the WL Beast X mouse. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you go and look at my other videos, or, you know, check out my Twitch or TikTok, and I'll see you guys next time. And stay tuned for this Optimum Tech mouse review.